Hey, welcome to Chapter 2 Pre-Algebra Test. Here's a quick walkthrough for you. Not too quick, but quick enough so you can get going on this. Remember, you're supposed to write down the problems as I go through them right now, and then go back and do the problems, and then go take the test by just selecting your answer from the multiple choice. So, write the rational number as a decimal. Remember, to turn a fraction into a decimal, you do top divided by bottom. And this will be a negative decimal because it's a negative fraction. So look for the negative decimal. There's no way to put a repeating bar on the multiple choice test. So it'll be something like 0.1313 ... And that means that goes on forever. 1313. So you'll be looking for something like that, as this will be a repeating decimal. I know that because usually when 11 is the denominator, we get a repeating decimal. This mixed number as a decimal, remember the integer part stays the integer part. So this one should start with -5 out front. It's the 9/20ths we have to turn into the decimal. So when you're looking for the multiple choice, you'll have -5 and then some decimal afterwards, and you'll find the answer to that by doing 9 divided by 20. When you do that division problem, you get the answer as a decimal. Number 3 and 4, you're writing those as fractions in simplest form. Remember to keep the integer part, so this will stay 6 out front, so this will be a mixed number. And then this 34, if you can say this number correctly, you'll be able to write it easily enough, but you do have to simplify it. So instead of 6 and 34 hundredths, you'll get 6 and something over something not 100, because you've got to simplify the fraction. Over here, remember that a negative decimal will yield a negative fraction. And the same kind of thing, it'll be negative and then some fraction here. Can't be simplified, so I can't do anything else with that for you, but remember how to do that. Remember, you can always go back and review the lesson as you're taking the test if you wanted to. Complete the statement using less than, greater than, or equal to. Well, these are already both fractions, and they both start with -1 and -1. But I would find a common denominator for the fraction part, and that way you could compare them a little better or more easily using the less than, greater than, or equal to symbol. Over here, these are decimals, so you don't have to find a common anything. They're already decimals. But do remember, when you're on the negative side of things, the further away from 0, the lesser the number. Or you can think of temperatures. Okay, which of the temperatures is colder? That would be the smaller number. Whichever temperature is greater would be the larger number. For number 7, order from least to greatest. So you have -4/3, -1.2, 0.3, 4/9, and -0.8. Turn these all into decimals and do yourself a favor, and then order the decimals from least to greatest, and then go back and put these in order from least to greatest using the decimals that you got. Number 8, 3 2/5 minus a -4 1/2. Well, the first thing I would do on this is take these two negatives and make it a big plus, which just makes this a mixed number plus another mixed number. Find a common denominator and add those up. Number 9, these are both negative decimals, so a negative plus a negative. Remember, same sign, add and keep. Don't forget the keep part. If you pick the positive number on the multiple choice, definitely wrong, as you're supposed to keep this one negative after you add them. Number 10, 3.74 minus a -4.38. Again, two minuses to turn into a plus, which turns this into about a 4th grade problem, because it's just a positive decimal number plus another positive decimal number. Over here, number 11, different signs subtract. So you're going to subtract these. Turn this mixed number into an improper fraction. You do the subtraction. Remember, different sign subtract. Keep the sign of the number with the larger absolute value, and then you'll get the right answer there. And for number 12, you've got 7.8 minus 9.3. Remember, this is different sign subtract. You got a positive and a negative. So you subtract the number parts, keep the sign of the number with the larger absolute value, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will tell you it's not positive. Number 13, multiply or divide, write fractions in simplest form. So first, turn these both into fractions. This one already is. This is an improper mixed number, so turn it into an improper fraction. And then it's just fractions. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. And remember your sign rules. When multiplying, same sign, positive. Over here, you're going to multiply these two decimal numbers, 22 hundredths times negative 8 tenths. Remember the sign rule. Different sign negative when you're multiplying. And remember, decimal placement is important when multiplying decimals. It's important all the time, but especially then. Over here, negative 5.6 divided by 18. Remember, this first one is what goes in the box. So the 5.6 goes in the box, the 18 goes out of the box, and that decimal goes straight up into your quotient. Now you're ready to start dividing. Remember, different signs when you're dividing makes this quotient negative. For number 16, negative 2 ninths divided by negative 12/27. First thing, when dividing, same sign, positive. Yay, my answer's positive. I can forget about those signs now. Now I rewrite this. I keep the first fraction the same. I turn it into multiplication, and I invert that second fraction. Notice I've dropped the two negatives because I already know my answer is going to be positive because of the rules. I would simplify before I multiply here. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 12 6 times. 9 goes into 9 once. 9 goes into 27 3 times. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. Don't forget to simplify because it will be possible in that one. For number 17, negative 7 in parentheses squared. Remember, the parentheses are really important here, and it keeps that negative and 7 hugging together, so they'll stay together throughout the entire problem. This will be negative 7 times negative 7. Number 18, I've got a fraction, a mixed number, a whole number. Turn them all into fractions. And look, an even number of negatives means my answer is going to be positive. So I already know my answer is positive. I can forget about the signs right now. This just becomes 2/3 times 4/5 times 3/1. I can simplify before I multiply here and simplify before I multiply here. Well, this answer is pretty easy. The last two problems, 19 and 20, have to do with this shape right here. It says find the perimeter and area of the rectangle. And remember, perimeter equals the distance around. Area is length times width. So for perimeter, we have to add the whole distance around, which means 8 1/4 plus 3 1/8 plus another 8 1/4 plus another 3 1/8. Okay, so I would turn those into improper fractions. Then I would go common denominator. Then I would add them all up and then turn it back into a mixed number for your answer for there. For the area, length times width, you're multiplying this times this. And remember to turn them into improper fractions first. You cannot multiply a mixed number by a mixed number unless you're going to do something that's way more complicated than just turning these into improper fractions. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and then simplify your answer back into a mixed number. Awesome. I know you're going to do well on this. Take your time, double check your work, and get 100%. Have a great night.